Hey, what's up everyone out there? Thanks so much for tuning in to another Addicted Fishing video. Today what we're gonna do is we're gonna get out on the water and we're gonna show you the basics of how to get out here and spoon fish for steelhead. So if you wanna learn about that, it's coming up next. All right, before we get this video started, I want to give a huge shout out to Gerber. If you guys haven't heard of Gerber, I don't really know what planet you're living on, but Gerber makes some really awesome fishing tackle as well as awesome knives and stuff in the hunting world. Gerber is one of our sponsors. They sponsored this video. You guys know we talk about these scissors literally all the time. They will change your life. They also have some pretty nice pliers and things like that. These are the needle nose. I like to keep the needle nose, but they also have a split ring version and a regular version. Tons of different fishing tools, tons of hunting tools, tons of killer knives, and they gave all of you addicts out there a 20% discount. So down in the description below, 20% off everything on Gerber's website. Just use the code down below. I'll have it linked, and yeah, go grab yourself some Gerber. Now, let's dive into this tutorial. Okay, so first things first, what we want to talk about here is rod and reel. Now, as it goes for brand, it doesn't really matter. As you guys know, we love Okuma. This happens to be an Okuma X series. It is a 992M. It's an 8 to 15 series rod, a little over 9 feet long, and then I've paired it with an Okuma Helios bait casting reel, and this is a 273. So anything in that like 200 series or 300 series you can even go up to if you're looking in other brands. But again, we love Okuma, one of our partners out there, but you can use whatever you have out there. I do highly recommend you use a bait casting reel when you're out here spoon fishing, and I'm gonna show you why when we actually get out here on the water and start fishing this. It's super important, I think, just for being able to control your spoon, letting your line out. It's a really, really useful tool to have, is this bait casting rod. So yeah, anything over 9 feet long, I like to have a longer rod so that way I can keep my spoon and control it. And again, once we get on the water here, we're gonna show you all that. But 9 to 10 foot rod, 200 to 300 series reel, and then we talk about the line. So I really like to fish a high vis braided line. I don't want any stretch in my line. I wanna be able to feel every thump and every tick and every rock that my spoon's doing. So I have a 30-pound high vis tough line Dominate on my reel, and you can go anywhere from 20-pound to 40-pound, but I would try to keep it down in diameter if I was you. Try to keep it on the smaller end of that, just so it cuts through the water column nicer and your spoon actually gets down into that strike zone that you want it. Another quick thing I wanted to mention here, guys, before we dive too much more into this tutorial, I'm no spoon fishing master. I've been doing it for a while. I love spoon fishing, but it's definitely not my mastered art of fishing. So I highly recommend what you guys do is there's a book out there, Spoon Fishing for Steelhead by Bill Herzog. If I was you, I would buy that book. I would read a lot of it. I've read it a couple times. It'll teach you a ton of stuff. It's a really, really informative book to kind of get you up to speed on spoon fishing. And then what you can do is you can watch this video to learn a little bit more, and then you can get out on the water and just start practicing. But again, don't take everything I'm saying as the absolute Bible of spoon fishing, because again, I'm not a pro at it, but I do love doing it, and I've been doing it for a long time. So hopefully what I teach you guys today will help you get some fish. So now, diving back into the tutorial here, what I've done is I have done a double uni knot, and this is a 15-pound tough line fluorocarbon that I've put on here, and I've attached it with a double uni knot. I'm not gonna show you how to tie that today, but what I will do is I'll have some links down in below that you can check out to learn how to tie some of those knots, or honestly, just go to the YouTube search bar, type in how to tie a blood knot or how to attach braid to fluoro or braid to mono, and there is hundreds of videos on YouTube that will show you how to do that. But it's really important that you tie this little piece of fluoro on here just for abrasion resistance against the rock, and then also just to give yourself a little bit of an edge of that fish seeing the line. You know, spoon fishing is more of an aggressive bite. When these fish come up and they actually hit that bait, I don't think they're looking at the line too much, but for me it's just a little added extra sense of security. And yeah, so I would recommend doing it. And I don't have very long a piece on there. You can see kind of like an arm's length out, about 4 feet, 3.5, 4 feet is what I go for. That's all you really need. Okay, so now we've talked about the rod, we've talked about the reel, we've talked about your braid, we talked about your fluorocarbon. Now let's get into the business end, and it's your spoons. So, as you can see, this is actually a new spoon box that I just put together a couple days ago. What I've done is I've gotten a good selection of, you know, 1/4 ounce, I put some 1/2 ounce togethers, and I'm gonna show you guys some of those tricks here in a second, but 2/3, 2/5, 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce, a good selection of all different weights of spoons. It's super, super important. So I'm gonna pull a couple out here. This is a 2/5. This is a 2/3. And you can see, if we can get in here, it's basically just the thickness of the spoon that adds the weight, the extra weight to the spoon. And these are BC Steel spoons. I really like BC Steel. I like the P-line spoons. I like the little Clio spoons. Any of those spoons that have this kind of like teardrop shape, I'm a huge fan of. I like the BC Steels because they use real 24 karat gold, real silver, gives off a lot of flash. And honestly, the thump that these spoons kind of give off when they're in the water, it just seems to be that like perfect wobble, you know? So I like these spoons, but again, there's a million different companies out there that make them. So just go to the store, buy yourself a bunch of different selections and try them all and figure out which ones you like. All right, so as you can see, I've laid out a bunch of different colors here. That's the other thing that I want to talk about, is it's good to have, you know, your nickels and your blues. You got your golds here, you got your coppers, you got your kind of nickel and copper, you have your black, you have your really good like white silvers. You can also do these here, which is kind of more, you're more like doled out brass look. But it's really, really important, you know, as you're fishing, you know, sometimes the water is going to be high and super green, so you want to have something that's bright and in their face, kind of like this white silver or this blue and nickel. Or some days, on the cloudy days and the low clears, you know, I'm going to fish more golds, coppers, blacks. You know, as the water especially gets low and clear, I like to really settle down my presentation. I like to use blacks, I like to use golds, coppers, and then I like to downsize. You know, I'll go to 1/4 ounce, I'll go to 2/5 ounce, and really size my spoon down so I can make sure it's not just dredging the bottom as I'm swinging it through there. And again, don't leave us, because I'm gonna actually get out on the water here and show you just a few techniques of actually fishing these things. Okay, another important thing, and we're gonna try to dive into as much as this as possible, addicts out there, but another important thing I wanna talk about is the hardware on your spoon. So some of these spoons that you buy in the store, they're gonna come pre-rigged with hardware. It's my recommendation that you just take all that off and you redo your own hardware. Or if you buy from BC Steel or some of these other guys online like River Fisher or R&B, a lot of times you can buy the bulk spoons with no hardware on there, so that way you can put your own hardware on your spoon. So what I like to do here, and this has kind of been my preferred method, I like to run a size 5 barrel swivel, and then I have a size 5 split ring, another size 5 split ring, size 5 barrel swivel, and then I have a 1/0 mustad siwash hook on there. And you can do a 1/0, you can do a 2/0, you can do a 3/0, but a lot of times when the water's lower and clearer like this, I'll go with a 1/0 just so it doesn't weight my spoon down anymore. So yeah, I'll go smaller hooks in lower clear water, and then sometimes when I'm in bigger water, I'll upsize it to those 2 and 3/0. It's really, really important to me that you spend the time to switch your hardware out like this, because the last thing you want to do is get out here on the water, hook into the fish of a lifetime, and then have your hardware fail on the spoon. So it's probably one of the most important factors. The other thing is you want to make sure you put a siwash on here. It's going to help you from getting snagged up in the rocks as much, and then it's also going to help you. What happens is the reason I have this laid back here with this swivel, this barrel swivel, because what happens is as this fish comes up and grabs the spoon, and then he's going to turn down river, and as he turns, that hook's going to grab the corner of his mouth there, and ideally what's going to happen is it's going to hook it for you. So a lot of times in my experience, you'll be kind of swinging the spoon through there, it'll just kind of start to load up, boom, and you'll have that fish and it will have just hooked right into the corner of his mouth. So I really like to lay it back like that with a barrel swivel and a siwash hook. So one other trick that you can do that's kind of been something I've been doing for a long time, I don't remember where I learned it, I think I read it in a Salmon, Trout, and Steelhead magazine or something, but it's called stacking spoons. And what you can do here is you can put, this is 2 1/4 ounce spoons that I've basically attached together with a size 6 split ring and a size 6 split ring. And basically what it's done is it's allowed me to take 2 1/4 ounce spoons, put them together and make a 1/2 ounce spoon. You know, you can't really get, there's not a lot of companies that make 1/2 ounce spoons, so it allows you to get a good customized weight. But the other thing it does is as this thing's going in the water, it's kind of moving around, it's pulsating, it's kind of chittering back and forth like this and chattering in the water down there, and giving just a little bit more extra enticement, especially in higher, dirtier water scenarios. I really like to stack spoons. It's a nice little trick to have in your bag, so don't forget that. And make sure you do some of that and rig some of those up before you head to the water, because the last thing you want to do is get out here and be trying to do this on the water, because it's a pain in the ass when your hands are all cold. And trust me, you want to do it in your house. All right, so now I've kind of taught you a lot that there is to know about the spoons, about the rods, up to the point of actually tying the spoon on there and getting out there and fishing it. So I'm gonna just go straight through that barrel swivel there. Just gonna do a regular old fisherman's knot here. I'm gonna wrap it around about 7 or 8 times. It's your typical knot that you always see us using. And then I'm gonna wet that fluorocarbon there with a little bit of saliva. Then I'm gonna pull that through. And then I'm gonna take my trusty Gerber scissors that I told you guys about. I'm gonna cut that tag end off. And I've chosen the little bit just kind of like dulled brass looking spoon here. This is a 2/5 ounce. I'm hoping, you know, this water's super clear today. We'll see if we catch anything or not, addicts, on this, but honestly, it has been a tough day of fishing. I have been out here all day filming an Addicted Life with Sean. My buddy Rob was here. We've been fishing all day, literally from top to bottom. We've hooked 1 fish and we lost it. So it's been a grinder out here today, addicts, but that's just how it goes sometimes. Okay, so the first thing to note here, addicts, when you get up to the water, it's the same thing that we teach you with everything. You want to start in close and then work your way out. And there's a few different ways to fish spoons, but I'm going to show you just the basic way that I know how to do it, that I've caught a lot of fish on, and hopefully it'll help you guys get out there to catch some fish. But then once you go read the book from Bill Herzog, it's going to teach you a lot more advanced ways of how you can use these spoons to your advantage. But this is what I found is the most effective way and a quick way to kind of cover water. So you're going to start in close here, and I always, as you can see, the water kind of comes down right here. It drops off this shelf into this bucket. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna backhand cast it here. And I'm gonna just basically let it fall down into that bucket, just like so. And this is where your bait caster is important. You can use your thumb here to let line out and feed that spoon kind of down into that hole. So let me make another cast out there because that was kind of terrible. I'm gonna kind of cast upriver a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring that spoon down into this hole, just slowly reeling, and let it fall into that hole like so. Reeling it through the bucket slowly. You don't want that spoon spinning, you want it wobbling. So you're just slowly wobbling it through there. And so I kind of cast upriver that time, and then what I'm gonna do again is I'm gonna cast a little bit farther out, but downriver, and then what you're gonna see it's doing, see how my spoon's swinging? It's swinging downriver. I'm not really making any cranks on the reel. I'm just letting it swing, do its thing. Then as it reaches that tip, I'm gonna just start doing some slow reels here. Reeling it in, getting a nice little wobble. And then you're gonna just proceed down the bank here. So I'm gonna try to pitch one just a little closer here, like so, there you go. And then you can see, look, I'm feeding this down into the hole. Feed it down into the hole, now it's in there. Now I'm gonna let it swing through there. You can see my tip, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that, Sean? Yeah. Look at that spoon just wobbling down there, addicts. That's exactly what you want, is it swinging through that hole. You want that thing wobbling through there. And again, now we're gonna make a little bit farther cast out there, kind of over by that rock. And see how I hit that? Now I'm gonna swing it through there as I'm reeling slowly. I'm moving my tip with the spoon, keeping it down in the strike zone, slowly reeling. And then as it gets to the end of the swing, I'm just gonna reel it in slowly. You never know when a fish wants to come and eat it from the side. It does happen sometimes. So I never reel it in super quick. As I kind of get to my swing and I get it right there, then I'll just reel it back in slowly. So again, Sean, go out here and film the water so they can kind of see where I'm casting and see what I'm doing here. Because the idea, addicts, is you want to get it out in there and then you want to swing it through the hole. So here we go, we're gonna backhand cast it, kind of over by that rock, boom. It hits the water, I'm not doing anything. I'm not letting line out, I'm just letting it swing. As it gets into the bucket, let a little line out, let it wobble through, let it wobble through. You can twitch it a little bit just to try to find bottom. When I say twitch it, I mean just slightly bring your rod tip up and try to find the bottom, and then you're gonna crank it in. And then what I'll do is if I can't cast downriver farther, I'll start to take steps downriver. But in this scenario, it's a good spot for me to just keep kind of casting down. So I'm gonna make a little bit farther backhand cast like that. And then again, I'm gonna reel it through there as I'm swinging it. Oh, it's wobbling nicely, addicts. Let's hope for a load up here. Nothing. And again, as it gets to the end of its swing, I'm just slowly reeling it. Let's try something else here. Let's get out on this rock. And then the other thing you can do, one thing you want to really make sure, be cognizant of your surroundings, especially when you're fishing a bait caster. You don't want to hit a tree or something and backlash, but you can do a little bit of an overhand cast too if you want to get it a little farther downriver. There you go. Again, it hits the water. I will let it sink until I feel that first tick. There it is. Then I'll lower my rod tip and swing that spoon through the hole. Slowly reeling it back to myself. No bites. And then again, you're just gonna keep playing that same game. Downriver a little. As you can see, I bring my rod tip to my right because I'm trying to pull that spoon and swing it through the hole there. And you're gonna use your rod tip to really dictate what your spoon does. So if you want your spoon to move to the right, pull your rod tip to the right and just slowly swing it to the right. If you want your spoon to come this way, pull your rod back this way and then just slowly bring your spoon that way. Don't do these big jerk methods, but just slowly kind of dictate where you want that spoon to be. That's why it's really important that you have this high vis line, because as you're down to your spoon, you can watch your high vis line and you really know where that spoon is kind of feeding down into the hole. Try to make another long cast here. And again, as it hits the water, I just let it hit. I'm just twitching it, just trying to find bottom a little bit. Oh, it's swinging through there so nicely. No love. Then what I'll start doing is I'll start making far, like really far casts. And again, I'm just swinging it through those spots, trying to get it in front of a fish's face. What you're doing here is those fish do not want that spoon wobbling in their face. It really pisses them off. So you're trying to wobble that spoon right in front of a fish's face and entice him to bite. That's the key. So I'll just keep making super long casts and working every inch of the water that I can here, looking for a biter. And again, I want to reiterate why it's important that you have this bait caster reel, because what's going to happen, it's a little bit deeper over there, and as it swings down into that hole, this is where it's nice because I can push that button, let a little line out, feed it down into the hole, twitch it till I feel bottom, and then crank up and let that thing wobble through. And just hope and pray to the fish gods that we get a bite. And what I'll do, addicts, is I'll exhaust every cast that I can from one area, from one rock. I'll work as much of it as I can, wobbling it through, working as much of the bank as I can. And then what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start taking a couple steps downriver. So I'm gonna just work down this way, take a couple steps down. You're gonna find that when you're fishing spoons and stuff, if you're in smaller rivers or small creeks, you're gonna have to learn to do a lot of backhand casting, do a lot of creative casting to get into your spots. But again, you're just gonna continue to work this thing down, wobble it through this hole, and hope for a biter. I can see we got a big boulder down here, so a lot of times what I'll try to do is work these spoons on the front and back side of these big boulders, and I already hit the back or the front side of it, so I'm gonna wobble this thing down there kind of around the back side of it. You guys can see I'm just slowly lifting up, giving my rod a little twitch as it kind of swings through that hole there, just searching for a biter. No love. Okay, one other thing that you can do that sometimes does work is as you start getting downriver a little bit in the hole, you can start making some casts upriver and let that spoon kind of fall down into the hole. So I'll just go like this, flip one upriver, and then as it's falling down into the hole, I'm just kind of twitching it down in there, letting it sink into that bucket, reeling it back into itself. no love. And then a straight out cast. Letting it twitch down into that hole. All right, everyone, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna roll just a quick little clip to show you this spoon in action, show you landing a steelhead on it. It's coming up right now. Well, there you have it, everyone. It's been a super tough day of fishing. It's getting dark on us right here, but I wanted to just take a little bit of time, show you a little bit about spoon fishing. Hopefully that helps you guys get out there, catch some more fish on your local rivers. Thanks again so much for tuning in. If you like our tutorials or you like our videos, do us a huge favor. It helps on the YouTube algorithm. Smash that thumbs up. Thanks again to all of our subscribers for watching. If you guys want to watch more videos like this, hit this one right here. And if you're new to the channel and you're just finding us, here's the subscribe button. Subscribe if you want to. If you don't, thanks anyway, and we'll see you guys on the river.